G'day, my name's Ewan from ROI. I'm very pleased to have Heath and Anthony with us today. How are you guys?
Well,
Right. Thanks very much for having us.
So we're trying out a new segment called Golden Nuggets, and the idea is that very successful business owners like yourself are sharing the gems that you've learned along the journey that perhaps other business owners can take some value out of. So Heath, before we get started, perhaps maybe give the audience a bit of a background about what you've done in your business life thus far.
I've had a couple of digital businesses over the last nearly 20 years, with both of which I've exited from. The first one was footytips.com.au, office footy tipping, and then punters.com.au, which is an online portal for racing, horse racing and sports betting information.
So Heath, does that mean that you're good at forecasting, given your two businesses have been tips, or that was just the way it worked out?
I'll let other people do that. You just try and work out the economics of how to make money from people doing that.
Good one, like it. And Anthony, tell us about yourself.
So I came from an investment banking and corporate advisory background. Did a lot of that in partnership with another guy on our own for a number of years. And along the way, we advised a range of small and medium companies and invested in a number of small to medium companies in a range of different industries. And I guess today I'm continuing to look for good opportunities to invest in or back good people in new businesses.
Excellent. So two sides of the fence. We've got successful business owners exited, and then someone from the private equity side giving the what it looks like from the other side of the fence. So given that we're in a very unusual environment, we've got some businesses that are starting new product lines, some businesses starting up. The first question I've got for you, Heath, if you had the benefit of 20/20 hindsight and you were sitting down with someone who was starting something from scratch, what is the golden nugget that you would provide another business owner as to how they can get the most success cost effectively from scratch?
Yeah, good question. So I think if you're starting a business from scratch today, I think it depends a little bit on the type of business that you're after. If you're doing a very technical, disruptive startup, what you really need is excellent technical capabilities and a really clear understanding of the market that you are disrupting or the problem which you are solving. Those two for a sort of a traditional disruptive startup are critical. A lot of businesses today, though, are being started up. You call them startups, but they're really more businesses, new businesses that are creating in a digital environment, say an e-commerce company or something like that, selling coffee cups or something. So that I think requires a completely different set of skills and requirements. I think for those two, you can live with there's two, and you definitely need one. The first one is differentiation. You need to be able to differentiate your product out there in the marketplace. And that's always great, but if you can't have that, you need the second one for all types of businesses, and that is just great digital marketing. It's so hard. It's such a crowded marketplace and environment now trying to get your message out. So you really, really need to have a good understanding of your audience, who they are, and then how you can reach them, and the digital tools to be able to get there.
Interesting. So great technology, solving a customer problem and being really true to that. And then the other side is differentiation and just good all-round holistic marketing. That's great. Great nuggets. Anthony, what about yourself? What do you think?
Well, I think one of the key points that Heath actually just made, and I really agree with strongly, is what problem are you trying to solve and for who? There's a lot of people who come up with a great next new idea of whatever it is, but they're not necessarily actually sort of solving a problem for the customer. So I think you've got to think about what the customer wants and make sure that you're delivering something that benefits them. If it gives them a benefit, then they'll pay for it. Think like the buyer, not the seller. It's easy for a lot of people to think that I can sell a lot of these things, but the truth is, if the buyer doesn't want it, it's very easy to spend a lot of time trying to build the perfect mousetrap, whatever that is. But you need someone to actually want it and need it. So think long and hard about the problem you're solving. After that, then again, I'm with Heath. finding a way to get that out into a marketplace and make sure that there are sufficient buyers takes a lot of hard work on the marketing front. I think it's getting harder and harder on that front. So yeah, make sure that you know how to access the right audience and deliver for them.
So you've got the customer problem. What's that? Sorry, Heath?
I just add that sometimes when you're creating a new business, a lot of people create a business out of a problem they have themselves. And I think it's really important that you don't create a new business to solve a problem for one person. There's actually a marketplace that's large enough to create a business that's around that. And so just understanding that customer base and what that market needs is just critical.
So you've touched upon the problem. Then Anthony, you talked about the who. And then the $1 million question is how much the customer will pay for that, which is a pricing. Heath, any feedback you would have on experience on sort of how to get that right price point when you go into a market and testing what a certain market would pay to have that problem solved?
Yeah, it's...
So that's a question without notice?
Yeah. Well, I've given away most of my products. They've been free products that I've given away and then charged advertising. But, you know, from an advertising front, I've had some really great experiences where you can charge a premium for a differentiated product. In our products, we're always able to do an integrated advertising campaign. We could do them where the big publishers couldn't. So we always found that we could just create a solution that they could get nowhere else. And as a result, we charged extra for it. So differentiation.
Well, certainly a few media companies could benefit from that right now, Heath.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have seen a really interesting model recently. Some guys who came up with a range of products that they were in the middle of manufacturing. They actually went live with sales through a couple of the marketplaces to see what orders would look like, even though they didn't actually have the product. They had mock-ups and they put it onto the marketplace to see if the sales would actually come through. They were pretty quick to discover that some things had very little demand and some had much more demand than they were expecting. And it meant that they diverted their attention towards actually manufacturing those that were generating some sales. So they'd literally get to the point where it would go through a whole process and then they'd send an email afterwards saying, listen, we actually don't have the product available just yet. We're in the process of getting it manufactured. But they tested the marketplace before they went live and spent a whole lot of money on production. So it was quite a good way to test before they actually spent the money.
Never heard of that. It's instant way of testing. You don't have to spend money on advertising and spend money on building a database. You can instantly go there and see if you're on. That's fantastic.